All right, in today's video, I want to take a look at the euro mostly, and remember the dollar will move inversely to the euro. So I warned my subs a few days ago that this might potentially be a false breakdown in the euro, which would mean it's a false breakout in the dollar. Everyone is expecting the dollar is going to go up since the Fed is almost certainly going to raise interest rates at least once or twice this year, and probably taper QE, maybe back down to zero. So logically, you would expect the dollar is going to go up, but the dollar has been discounting that for about 7 or 8 months now. So I warn people that it may turn out that that the dollar sells off on the news. It's been pricing in the rumor for a long time, and then now that it's a fact, it may sell off on the news. So very often what happens at these major turning points, intermediate or maybe even multi-year turning points, is that when big money recognizes that a turn is happening, then they will manufacture a breakdown or a breakout. And then when everybody else sells that breakdown, that's their opportunity to buy and enter really large positions without moving the market against themselves. You get a lot of liquidity. Or conversely, on the upside, they would sell the breakout. So we have potentially here in the euro a false breakdown. I warned people last week that this might happen. It's not confirmed just yet, but it's starting to look a little bit like that. We're going to need to see some follow through, obviously. But this here looks like a bloodbath phase into an intermediate cycle low. And then the market did not roll over quickly. So that was an indication that we may have been putting in a larger degree bottom. And so what you would expect to happen is if, big money, smart money, institutional money starts to anticipate a turn in the currencies, then they're going to want to try and create a breakdown, something that moves below this pivot, and that causes retail hedge funds, it causes them to stop out, sell their position, and it allows that smart money to enter very large positions into the liquidity created by this stop run, and then they can get into positions, and then what happens is you get like a false breakdown, and that may be happening here today. This may have some connotations for gold, in that if the dollar, and let me switch over to that dollar chart. All right, here's the dollar chart, and you can see, when we broke out above this last week, everybody is assuming that the dollar is going to continue to push much higher, but instead it's dropping back below this resistance point today. Again, it's not a guarantee that this is a false breakout just yet. We're going to need to see some more follow through, but the potential is there that maybe this 3-year cycle has topped. That's kind of this is what I would expect to happen at a 3-year cycle top. Big money will recognize that the trend change is coming. They'll manufacture a breakout that gets everybody on the wrong side of the boat, allows them to exit their long dollar positions into this breakout, into a lot of liquidity, and then without the big institutional buyers, then the market will turn and head south. And we've seen this happen quite often, like in the stock market during these major trend changes. It happens quite often in the metals. So not unreasonable to think that maybe we got a false breakout last week that was manufactured by big money in order for them to get out of their long positions in the dollar. So if the dollar is topping and we're starting down into an intermediate degree decline, and perhaps this is the 3-year cycle topping, then it's going to become much more difficult for the cartel to keep metals suppressed. So as I noted before, I suggested that my subscribers start buying physical silver. Again, I'm not very fond of trying to trade the metals right now. There's just too much manipulation going on in the market. There's a concerted effort to try and hold the metals down, to try and suppress inflation in the rest of the commodity markets by keeping the metals suppressed. So it's pretty much an untradeable market. Let me show you the miner. All right, so this is the mining stocks, and you can see this is just not a tradable market. It's too volatile. None of the rules are working. Generally, when you get a higher high, you don't immediately come back down and get a lower low. So this is just a very heavily manipulated market. It's not something that you're going to be able to trade successfully, but it is something where if the cartel is going to keep prices artificially low, it does give you a chance to accumulate physical silver, because sooner or later that manipulation is going to break, and when it does, it generally produces a really strong, really violent move in the opposite direction. We saw that during the baby bull. The metals had been suppressed for so long, and then when the suppression finally broke, we had that huge move coming out of the final bear market bottom, that baby bull move. And the same thing is going on here. I think this was our true bottom, and we were breaking out at this point, but then the cartel came in, and they haven't been able to really push the metals down significantly. Most of the gold, silver, and mining stocks, as you can see, the best they've been able to do is just kind of churn this sideways. They haven't been able to really take it down and do any serious damage, but they are preventing it from getting any upward momentum. So it's pretty clear that this market is being heavily manipulated. It's trying to be suppressed to keep the rest of the commodity markets in check. It's not working. Oil is going through the roof. Most of the other commodity markets are going much higher and pretty much ignoring what's happening in the gold market. So I am pretty confident that at some point this manipulation is going to break, and when it does, it's going to produce a very aggressive move to the upside. But trying to trade this mess is you're just asking for losses. So the easiest, well, the only way that you're going to survive a mess like this is just to accumulate physical silver. I like that better than I do trying to buy SLV. You're going to be tempted. It's very easy to click a mouse and sell SLV when you're down, or when it's going, when you get a severe attack on the metals, you're going to be tempted to sell your SLV. Whereas if you've bought, actual physical silver bars, silver coins, you won't succumb to that temptation to sell at a bottom. You'll just, if anything, you'll be tempted to buy more. And so that is the way you get through a mess like this. And, artificial suppression of the move is you just continue to accumulate physical silver. As long as they're going to keep the price artificially low, then take advantage of it and continue to buy physical silver. And of course, the more physical silver we can take off the market, the harder it's going to be to keep that market suppressed. So you've got a great opportunity right now to load up on more silver, as opposed to trying to trade this manipulated mess that's going on in the metals. You're just going to, almost certainly, you're just going to lose money. The cartels are going to fleece you with this back and forth moves and attacks on the metals, but they will not be able to get your physical silver. So this is the time to continue to accumulate. And if that currencies have put in false breakouts and false breakdowns, then it's going to become much harder for the cartel to keep this locked in this sideways mess. And at some point, when the manipulation breaks, it's going to produce a very strong, very violent move to the upside. And it's not at all out of the question that when that manipulation breaks, silver could break out of this sideways churn that it's been in, between like 30 and whatever this is, 20, let's just call it 22, $21, $22. And when it breaks out of that, it's going to go to 50. So now is your chance. Keep accumulating physical silver and get prepared, because sooner or later this manipulation is going to break and it's going to result in a monster move, especially in silver, I think.